Hi, I'm Allison Gwynn,
Hi, I'm Amelia Cormack.
and you're in Some Dark Holler. I'd rather be in some dark holler where the sun refused to shine than for you to be another man's woman, never on earth to call you mine. Maybe should we introduce each episode with a true crime roundup, or what did we see or watch or that was weird or spooky or
Yeah, true crime stories. There was something about the Gilgo Beach guy they found another one.
Is it Long Island?
Yeah, Long Island killer. Just the fact that they found him at his job in Midtown. Fifth Avenue job.
I know. You could be going to the optometrist and they could be like, I killed 6 people.
It's just, I mean, if there's anything that we have learnt from the study of serial killers is a lot of them were family men.
Yes, that's terrible.
No one suspected Dennis Rader.
Dennis Rader, though, there's something weird about his eyebrows. That makes me say, nope, you're a baddie. He has the beginning of his eyebrows.
Yeah.
But not the tails. Middle or the tails.
Yeah.
So they're just kind of like 2 dots on his head.
What was wrong with Dennis Rader?
That makes me not trust him.
Oh, there was a true crime thing that I thought of this week. The Daily they were looking at Wisconsin to do with something with the elections, and there was Waukesha County, and I was like, Waukesha? I know Waukesha
is all over the place, because that's where Gypsy Rose Blanchard was arrested.
Yeah.
Waukesha's where this
making a
murderer guy, and the Slender Man girls.
There?
Slender Man girls.
Something's going on
all in Waukesha County. And I'm like, guys,
there's something in the water.
It's like North Carolina.
As we're discovering.
It's like North Carolina in the 1800s. Speaking of. How's that segue?
That was that segue. You rode in on that segue like it was.
Like I was Paul Blart Mall Cop.
When I see people on those tours on segways around the city, it makes me laugh.
I worry about them. Well, I would never get on a Segway because I'm too clumsy. What are you going to pick? Brain damage. Sorry. Every time I hear brain damage, I think of it in a Hot Pocket.
A jingle.
That pops up in my brain all the time. That and Desperado. Which was started out as a Linda Ronstadt song. Linda Ronstadt is going to be played by my colleague and friend, Selena Gomez.
I'll just pick that name up for you.
I feel 1,000,000 years old when I'm in the room with Selena Gomez. 1,000,000 years old.
I bet.
I'm just like, I am the oldest. She was having some social media trouble, and I sounded like the oldest grandma. I was like, listen here, honey. You just don't pay any attention to those girls.
Pay them no mind.
It's the silliest thing. They're just eyebrows. If all they're worried about is eyebrows.
This should be called the eyebrow episode.
Little did I know. It's a big deal. It's a big deal. Eyebrows are a big deal.
Apparently so.
Because with Dennis Rader. like with Dennis Rader. Anyway. Oh, my friend. So... got a story for you.
I am very excited.
And it's very much a tale of 2 songs.
Ooh.
Two songs.
Two for the price of 1.
Yes, they branch out into 2 different things. But first, I want to tell you, our story takes place in, guess where? Just guess.
Georgia.
Nope.
Is it New Hampshire?
Nope.
Is it one of the Carolinas?
Yep.
North Kakalaki, North Carolina. Have you ever heard people call it North Kakalaki before?
Possibly, but I'll hear it again.
North Kakalaki. Our story takes place in North Carolina yet again. This is like over half of our episodes
Yeah.
so far has been in North Carolina. Oh, so don't go to North Carolina without a buddy
Mm-hmm.
or mace or both.
Yeah.
Have a safe word.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe have a medic alert button on you
Yeah.
instead of I fallen and I can't give up by being murdered and I can't get away from this person.
Is it also though? There's a part of me that's like these terrible things happening in North Carolina, but also the fact that they're turning them into songs. They also, but as has been described as the Irish, a musical people.
They are very much so a musical people, and they tend to make merriment out of sadness, which is something my grandma taught me. But so I'm wondering if it's if it's an Appalachian thing or if it's a Southern thing. So turning tragedy into music, there's something to be said there. So anyway, our story takes place in North Carolina. On July 20th, 1892, so in the 1800s again, in the town of Winston-Salem, not Salem, witchy Salem, but cigarette smoking Winston-Salem.
Which is not too far from the Lawsons.
Right.
Yep.
Oh my God.
Tobacco country.
People, quit smoking and quit murdering people. So, poor Ellen Smith. Ellen Smith's life ended on the well-kept grounds of the swanky, newly built, get ready for this name, Hotel Zinzendorf.
Oh, wow.
Yes, it was a beautiful new hotel built for tourism to come, and it was gigantic and swanky, and it reminds me of the Overlook Hotel a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Weirdly, it burns down like within the year of that it is built.
Oh, wow.
So it's grand, it's beautiful, it's built, and then it burns to the ground.
Oh, Jesus.
But poor Ellen Smith's body was found on the grounds of the Hotel Zinzendorf in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Her body was found in the early morning of July 21st, 1892.
3 days after my birthday. Not 1892, obviously. I've aged well.
You've aged well. Good job. She was found by a young hotel worker in the woods nearby the hotel. A young girl was shot in the chest with powder burns on her dress, indicating close range. On her person was found a note telling Ellen to meet none other than Peter Graff for a secret rendezvous.
Mm-hmm.
So, who are these people? But first, let's sing the story.
Yeah.
That branches out into 2 songs later, but this is one of the earliest versions. And take it away, past us.
1, 2, I want to. Come on, you kind people, my story to hear. What happened to me in the June of last year? Poor Ellen Smith, and how was she found? Shot through the heart, lying cold on the ground.
That was amazing.
That was Allison on auto harp.
Yeah, and my friend Amelia on fiddle right over here. And that was a bouncy song, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Just bouncy.
Yeah.
Later versions, it became a bluegrass banjo staple. And the faster and bouncier it got, faster and bouncier and more discordant with what the song was saying.
It's so interesting, that disconnect between
Yeah,
what you're singing
cheerfulness.
about, and and it's interesting because I often think sometimes the difference between, and this is a little off topic, but I think it is referenced here, the lyric and the storytelling. Like, we as actors tell stories through the lyric becomes important, whereas, say, a jazz musician, it's not about the lyric, it's about the using your voice as an instrument, so that
Right.
and so for this stuff, it feels like they're not singing the song to tell the story, they're just singing it because they like the sound.
Yes.
And it's fascinating.
It's very disconcerting, the bouncy jovial tune to what describing this murder. So Ellen Smith was a young houseworker, saying only to be 17 or 18 years old at the time of her death.
So young.
So Ellen was described as, quote, not bad looking.
Oh, okay.
With a rather bold countenance and a rather sharp nose. Her short, dark hair tended to curl, and she had blue eyes and straight white teeth.
I mean, that's going for you at that in the late 1800s. You've got straight white teeth. That's
yeah,
good.
I'm like, wow, I don't have straight white teeth.
Me neither.
Good for her. No coffee for her. Her dad was a white man, according to the census that was taken. Her dad is a white man named Julius, who worked as a farmhand in Forbush, North Carolina. And her mother, Julia, was described as... So Julius and Julia was described in an 1880 census as... And I'm going to use this term because they used it back then in the census. I don't agree with calling anyone this name. Mulatto, which means her dad was black and her mom was white. Once again, according to this 1880 census. So Julia, which is Ellen's mom, had a black dad and a white mom. Julia's occupation was listed as keeping house. Some resources say that Ellen was simple-minded. And this is because of a quote. She worked for a man named Rose, the last name Rose, and he said that she was rather simple-minded. Now, that can mean a whole lot of things. That could mean she didn't take direction well. That could mean she forgot things a lot, So it could mean she was developmentally delayed. There's no way of knowing, really. But I suspect that she wasn't, because back then people used crude terms like she was an idiot, and that's a medical term. Like they were a lot harsher if someone was had developmental delays back then. So I just think maybe she's like me. She just has trouble remembering things. Anyway.
Listen, my brain is complete mush at the end of this pregnancy, so.
Welcome. Some resources say that Ellen was simple-minded. At the time of her relationship with her murderer, she was working in the house of a local businessman named Kenny Rose and was the cook and a cleaner. Rose said of Ellen that as a cook, she was, quote, quite satisfactory, though she seemed, quote, not that bright. End quote. So, oh well, but she makes a good meal.
She's making a living.
We all have our strengths.
Yep.
She's got white teeth and I don't.
Yep.
So anyway, good on you. Here, I'm going to pause and show an artist rendition of what Ellen looked like from the Winston-Salem Western Sentinel. So there she is. I think she looks like an American Girl doll.
Yeah. But also that nose doesn't look particularly sharp, like they said in that thing.
No, not very sharp. I just picked up the microphone again. I think
Yeah.
she looks like an American Girl doll.
Yeah, she does. But also, like that, that description does not that you read me does not go with that
Yeah.
picture.
Not a very sharp nose. Yeah,
Just very,
it's
yeah.
a very cartoony.
Yes, I mean yes. It
Yes,
is
likeness.
one would suggest an etching.
An etching. Yes, that's lovely.
So it's hard to, but yeah.
Yeah,
okay,
she looks
Ellen.
like a good, upstanding woman.
Yeah.
I think she looks like a cross between Samantha, the American Girl doll, and
So I have a confession to make.
you don't know what that is.
I know what an American doll is, but we did not have them in the Australia.
Cool.
I
Well, American, Allison Gwynn. Okay, sorry.
but
sorry.
I have seen them being carried around on the subway by little girls
She looks like
coming
a little,
to town. Yeah.
She looks like a little girl from Little
But
House on the Prairie.
you know those names of the dolls like that
Yeah,
well?
I knew Samantha because she had brown hair and brown eyes, and I wanted her when I was little. And
That's-
Molly was the 1950s one,
Oh.
and she had glasses and brown hair. So and then there's Kirsten, and she was the one from Sweden, maybe? I don't know. She had like a wreath with,
Oh, wow.
she
With
wore
the
a
candles
wreath
in
with
it?
candles on her head. Yeah. Anyway, so
Oh
she
my
looks like an
gosh.
American Girl doll.
Yes.
And we'll show these pictures on our Instagram at Cormac and Gwen. So she looks very sweet and kind looking with a full face, and she looked like innocent eyes, dressed modestly. So around 1891, Ellen left the Rose household to go work for another family for about 9 months. If you
Okay.
catch my drift.
Yep.
It was there that she was said to have given birth to de Graaf's child. De Graaf, who is de Graaf, as you say? Let's go back and tell you. Peter
yeah.
de Graaf, sorry. Peter de Graaf is the murderer.
Yes, again.
So she is said to have given birth to her de Graaf's child. And it was either stillborn or died shortly after the poor baby's birth. So this is conjecture, but remember it because of what the coroner finds later.
Okay.
Shortly after that, she returned to Winston-Salem and then resumed to work for the Rose family. And then later in 1892, got a fancy job at the Hotel Zinzendorf, which is not bad for a 17-year-old.
Yeah.
Then we have Peter de Graaf, our villain. He was born from a French father, Anthony de Graaf, and his mom was a native North Carolinian named, ironically, Ellen. During his childhood, he was said to have taken up liquor and pistols at a young age.
Oh, okay.
So
that's a really good combination.
Good start.
That's sensible.
Not only are you a child,
liquor and guns.
I missed that episode of Little Rascals. Oh my word. Anyway, sorry, youngins.
I just had another thought for True Crime Corner, but I'll save it. We can record it later.
Little Rascals was an old TV show, black and white, where little kids ran around doing hijinks.
And then there was a great movie that I loved as a
remade
kid.
in the 90s, right?
Yeah. See it in my memory. And also the little guy, Alfalfa, with his little bit of hair sticking out.
Yes, who we mentioned in the Lawson family, because that's what
Oh my God, we did
Peter
too.
Lawson looked like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Charlie.
Peter's
here.
in this
but,
one.
yeah, I mean, so much in common. North Carolina, Winston-Salem. The list goes on.
Come on. He could have killed him. The Lawson family.
Listen.
You're kidding. Okay. In countless research sources, Peter is described as a, quote, ne'er-do-well, or a philanderer, which is a nice way to say he was sleeping with multiple women. He was a drunk and was already thought to have gotten several women, quote, in trouble, and was one of these women was found dead under suspicious circumstances.
Oh, gee. So a guy has form.
Yes.
Shit.
Which is, we all know by this point in this podcast that death of the pregnant woman is one of the best forms of birth control. back in the late 1800s
Yep.
that we can think of, sadly. I hate this trope of the scoundrel and the bad boy, the man women can't leave alone. You
Yeah.
know,
Yep.
I call it the doucher mistake we all made in college. You know, that most of us.
Some of us made it after college.
Yeah,
also,
and after college.
for a long time.
For the 20s. Most of our
Yes,
20s, and sometimes.
Yeah, well into our 30s
Sometimes.
as well.
Sometimes.
Just sometimes.
So I get it, girl. I get it. But most of us narrowly escape this kind of guy. This special man, Peter DeGraff, he was also suspected of a murder before he killed Ellen Smith. So before he killed Ellen Smith, in 1891, DeGraff was suspected of a murder. The story goes that he was suspected of killing a woman and a man during a dispute.
And 2 people.
Yeah.
Okay.
The killing of a woman and a man during a dispute with a group of men over sex workers. So they were at
Okay.
I don't know, it's not ill repute anymore, but
Yeah.
because sex work is work.
Yeah.
But they were at one of those establishments, and a group of men were already busy with some sex workers, and they got mad that they were busy with the sex workers, so they started yelling and shooting guns. And then once the other men were done, they came out, and a fight ensued, and then a man and a woman was dead. And
Just fine behavior.
yeah,
Fine behavior all
and
around.
who was suspected of shooting those people but a small man that looked kind of like Peter DeGraff.
Okay.
Okay. A public hearing was heard, and DeGraff was suspected as the killer but was never arrested. What a winner.
Yeah, he sounds great.
So the caricature of Peter will also be posted on our Instagram, but his is a lot more cartoony if possible.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So this is him in
He
profile.
looks like, oh my God, there's like a newspaper ad man. Like, that's bizarre.
Yeah.
He looks like, yeah, it is very cartoonish.
More cartoonish than Ellen.
Yeah.
Ellen looks like it was sketched from a photograph.
Do you know what? He looks like he should be up at Sardi's.
He does. Oh, man. You should have gone a different way and produced musicals there, Peter.
Yeah.
But he...
Sorry, I should say, he doesn't look like the caliber of person that is on the wall at Sardi's.
No.
The illustration of him looks like it should be on the wall at
It's very
Sardi's.
caricature-y.
Yeah.
He has a very long nose and a mustache and,
Just
middle-parted
everything's
hair.
very rounded.
Yes.
On that.
Yes.
Quite interesting.
Very cartoony.
Squigs would have a field day.
Yes. Shout out to Squigs. So once again, that picture was from the Winston-Salem Western Sentinel. Get a shorter name. Maybe a catchier name than the Winston-Salem's Western Sentinel.
It's very assonant. I can never remember which one's alliteration is the.
Where it all starts with one.
Yeah, I
sound.
think it's alliterate or assonance is the same vowel sounds.
Assonant.
Okay, it's very alliterative.
Welcome to Grammar Corner. I don't know if it's grammar or not.
Nerds.
Kind of nerds, but like vaguely nerds, which is mildly infuriating.
No, I mean,
I'm sure to some people.
Yeah.
Which is infuriating to some people that we're vague nerds. We have a vague idea of what it's about, but not for sure. So Ellen and Peter would meet regularly in the woods near the hotel for their romantic trysts. And that's a nice way to call it. They were probably
fucking in the woods.
Fucking in the woods. A good way to get ticks. But then you always have a partner to check those ticks out for you. So
it's true. You got to watch out for the poison ivy.
Pros and cons.
Yep.
And Ellen was smitten despite warnings from her friends. So this sounds like a leader of the pack type of story.
Yeah.
I love him, but I hear he's bad. I don't care.
Yep.
If this were set in the 50s, it would be Crybaby. Ellen probably loved the thrill and the danger of Peter, but by July in 1892, Ellen found herself pregnant with Peter's child. This wouldn't be very long after her first pregnancy that resulted in the unfortunate death of the child. So the timeline's a bit muddy. So either she got pregnant twice.
I mean, as we heard in the Lawson family, I didn't know. I mean, that
the turnaround is
her
quite
pregnancy,
short.
yeah, I think the baby was 2 weeks old, and they do say, just because there is a lot of some women like, oh no, but I'm breastfeeding, I just had a baby. You can get pregnant very quickly after you've had a baby.
Gosh,
so,
but you'd think after either having a stillbirth or having the death of a child early on that you would not be very anxious to try that again.
Yeah, but
birth control isn't a thing. Yeah. Anyway, the timeline is muddy. If she went away to work, out of town in December 1891 because of her first pregnancy with DeGraff. So that's in December 1891. She went out of town to work. Maybe she only left when she started to show, which would be relatively late with how people dressed in so many layers back then. That would make more sense for her to have gotten pregnant again in July in 1892.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Unless the baby was born prematurely.
Yeah, could be.
Because which may account for this, if she had a stillbirth, like that baby could have been premature, which would mean that she may have.
But all of this is speculation because we don't have any proof of that.
Yeah.
So the relationship was noticed by people that saw them together, usually arguing on the street and at Pitt's store, which is also a local saloon, which DeGraff frequented and sometimes worked. Soon the rumor that Ellen was pregnant with DeGraff's child began circulating around the hotel Zinzendorf, where the two both worked. So she either, I don't know where the timeline for this is. It gets, once again, really muddy. She's working at the Roses household and working at the hotel at the same time, or they just barely dovetailed or overlapped slightly. But they were supposedly both working at the hotel at the time, and the rumor was getting around that she was pregnant with his baby. So guess who didn't like that? Peter. Peter didn't like that it was getting around. Anyway, Peter didn't like this rumor or the idea of being tied down and broke it off with Ellen, and she was devastated and missed work for a couple of days. Then it was said that Ellen got a note from DeGraff requesting reconciliation and that they meet at night after they finished working at the Hotel Garden. So you can imagine how excited Ellen must have been. Just like Omi Weiss, meet me here at night. Lured by romance and the toxic attraction of a bad boy, the I can change him mentality. I don't want to victim blame here, but ladies, as a general rule, you can't change them. You cannot change them. Don't try. Stop. Just stop. Girl, stop. Not victim blaming again. I know we all want to have a happy ending, but girl, save yourself.
Yeah.
So, sadly, the next day, Ellen's body was found by the hotel laundry worker, Hattie Pratt. Hattie Pratt.
Now, there we go. That's a name.
I like it.
Yep.
This is another long newspaper. The Twin City Daily Sentinel quotes
There's a lot of sentinels in this area.
There's sentinels.
Yep.
Stars. Anyway, more Les Mis flashbacks. The Twin City Daily Sentinel quotes Hattie Pratt saying, "We went down and I saw a white apron hanging on a bush, and a few yards behind it, a woman's feet, which were turned towards me. Didn't go very close, but I saw from the blood on her that she had been shot and was dead." End quote. So post-mortem examinations found that, quote, the woman had been shot in the left breast, the ball passing through the body, end quote. There were powder burns found on her dress, which indicates that she was shot at close range. The examination also revealed that she had recently given birth. See? Question mark.
Yeah.
So this backs up the idea that Ellen went away to give birth to DeGraff's child previously.
Yeah.
And now she was pregnant again, question mark? Who knows, because the examination doesn't say whether or not she was currently pregnant.
Oh, yeah.
Which would explain the motivation for DeGraff's murder.
And if she was early enough, there would be, and there's no ultrasounds or
like why would?
But then surely if they were doing an autopsy, they would find a
you would think
fetus
so.
if she was.
Which leads me to go, why did Peter murder her if she wasn't pregnant currently?
It's interesting, as you were saying that the like you were saying, the rumor went around, but we don't know if it was actually true. And so he's heard the rumor.
Oh, right. So he doesn't know. Yeah, there's all sorts of gray here. So,
because that was the thing that I was thinking. I was like, okay, it's rumored, but people start rumors all the time, and they may have seen that her, in their eyes, acting inappropriately, and then made assumptions, and maybe she, she had, maybe her weight had changed or something, and then people start talking, and then he's gotten that idea of something that is not necessarily true, and rather than believe her, he's like, well, I better take care of it.
Ugh.
Fucker.
Ugh. So, yeah, there's a lot of confusion here, but perhaps the rumor that she had already given birth to his baby and that the baby died was bad enough, and he decided to kill her for that, or I don't know, no idea. The note was found on Ellen that lured her to her death, that was written by Peter, so search parties were dispatched to find him, but they came up empty. Peter left town, like the coward he was, and took up residence by another name in Mount Airy, North Carolina, for almost a year. Mm-hmm. This is where the newspapers have a field day.
Okay.
So, newspapers in Winston-Salem, perhaps as a smear campaign for the local sheriff, MacArthur, decried the shame that DeGraff had not yet been apprehended, wondering why persons charged with murder are thus permitted to strut about the country in broad daylight while our officers timidly keep out of their way. So I guess this newspaper didn't like the sheriff very much because they're kind of throwing him under the bus. Sheriff MacArthur made it part of his re-election campaign, promising to bring him to justice. But his efforts only sprang into action when, in June of 1893, almost a year later, Peter arrogantly decided to return to Winston-Salem, and the rumors of his showing up at the scene of the crime were spreading around town. So he only, looked into it when, I hear he's in town. Let's go get
Right, okay. Yeah, convenient.
Let's go get him. Why would you show up at the scene of the crime a year later?
Because maybe you're like, it will have died down by now. No one's come.
I want to check it out.
Yeah.
I want to reminisce.
But there is that invincibility that we've talked about, like with some, it's the person that comes, the criminal, like Joseph D'Angelo turning up to the community town meetings.
Right. Yes.
Hysteria rapist.
Ooh, that's so creepy.
Golden State Killer.
Yeah.
Like they will frequently be like, keep an eye out because this person is here. So
that's so creepy.
But there's also a thing of, I can imagine, no one's come to get me in a year's time. I've gotten away with it, so I'm just going to...
There's also something to be said about these people that kill for killing's sake and not for
Yeah.
I get rid of this pregnancy, so let's just throw the baby out with the bathwater, so to say. So if he's killing her for killing's sake, maybe he wanted to reminisce. Maybe he did. After staking out the location of Ellen Slade with no luck, police eventually found him around midnight at one of his friend's houses on the outskirts of town.
I mean, that's also funny that the police are like, well, he's definitely going to come back to the scene of the crime. But I guess, I guess I was saying, like, people do. But a year later, I don't know, that seems a little, we'll try there first.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, the rumor was that he was found there.
That's right.
Yes. People saw him there.
Okay, fair. All right, I take that back.
He is...
And cut.
Okay. So they found him around midnight at one of his friend's houses on the outskirts of town, and he was held up with 3 large pistols, and a standoff somewhat ensued. One of the policemen was quoted to call out to Peter saying, "Peter, you had just as well give up. You may get one of us, but we will get you.
Oh.
The policeman entered the house and found Peter with 3 heavy pistols and 52 rounds of cartridges in a trunk by the bed.
That's a lot of cartridges.
That's a lot. What was he preparing for?
Yeah.
Weirdly, he gave himself up without much of a fight after that. He got dressed and made fun of the police for coming after him with such, quote, little pop guns, end quote.
Oh,
What
God.
a man. What a man.
Yeah, it's even a pissing contest as you're being arrested.
The officers brought him back on horseback. He got his own horse.
Okay.
He was not frightened, nor was he tied. No threats were made to him, and his statements were voluntary. That was a quote from the newspaper.
It's very interesting how certain criminals are treated compared to others.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
He apparently spoke calmly and plainly about running away from North Carolina to other states before returning and settling in Mount Airy. A few days after the arrest, he was officially charged with Ellen's murder. The trial started on August 11th, 1893. I loved back then when they were just like, we're going to arrest him, and maybe 2 weeks later, we're just going to trial.
Yeah.
Straight to trial.
Because it does not, I mean, it is amazing how long.
Years, go by.
Well, what I was going to mention, the True Crime Corner is, I can't remember his name, the kid whose parents have gone on trial for murder after he did the school shooting in Oxford.
Right.
And they've just gone on trial, and that was last year.
Yeah.
So
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, years and years go by now. But now they're just like, let's get this over with.
yeah.
So the trial started August 11th, 1893, not long after he was arrested. The prosecutors had 2 handwriting experts match DeGraff's handwriting to the one on the note that was found on Ellen. Then, in a move that's now considered shooting yourself in the proverbial foot, Peter DeGraff took to the witness stand in his own defense. And not surprisingly, Peter should not have testified. This is hilarious. He said he had returned to the scene of Ellen's death because
Oh, God.
he had heard of a superstition that, quote, if a murderer would go back to where he had killed a person and call upon the victim, then say, quote, if you are in heaven, stay there. If in hell, arise, end quote. And the murdered person would then appear.
Okay.
What an idiot.
Wait, so here's the thing. So is he calling himself the murderer in
Yes.
that scenario?
Yes. He's like, I went to the scene of the crime because I heard if the murderer goes back to the scene of the crime and calls the
Oh my God. So and
person
this
they killed
and
out.
this is a year later.
Yes, on the witness stand.
Oh my God.
I heard that if the murderer would go back and call the name of the person
Then
they
they'll
murdered,
come back
that
to
they'd
life.
come back to life
Yeah. So I could just fix it.
and talk to me
Yeah.
or something. The newspapers noted.
Wow.
I love what the newspaper said. Quote, the prisoner seemed not to realize the web he was weaving about himself until the words had fallen from his lips.
They were calling Ellen simple-minded.
Right. Wow. Unsurprisingly,
I mean, that's what years of alcohol abuse can do to your brain.
I guess so. Unsurprisingly, the jury returned with a guilty verdict.
Yeah.
Judge Winston turned down DeGraff's request for an appeal and sentenced him to death by hanging.
Okay.
Okay, so finally, he was standing on the scaffold, right?
Uh-huh.
He is said to have finally admitted to Ellen's killing because he was drunk. He said that Ellen's last words were, quote, Lord, have mercy on me,
Oh, God.
end quote. And he then warned the audience of about 6,000 people, because it was a public hanging,
6,000.
against the evils of sin. Here's some of his statement. I have washed my blood and hope those who have enmity against me will forgive me. May God bless you all is my prayer on this side of the bar of God. That thing you call corn liquor, cards, dice, and other games of chance, and bad women have been the things which have brought me to this place to stand on this scaffold. Yes, I shot that woman. I was drunk at the time. I put the pistol to her breast and fired it. I stand here today to receive my just reward. End quote.
The way that a game is being blamed for you shooting a human.
Yeah, and
The
that.
dice and the cards. The dice did nothing to you, sir.
Yes.
They are an inanimate object that
And
you chose.
You choose to abuse these things.
Yes.
You choose. The alcohol only brings out your base nature and makes and amplifies what's already there.
Yeah. Oh, but the booze made me do it. No. Because plenty of people get drunk and don't shoot people.
Yeah. It's bad women.
And
bad women.
Bad women.
Oh
yeah,
my God.
yeah.
Ugh. So good thing.
So good. Thank you so much for taking responsibility for your actions.
Good job, buddy.
As you're dying.
Good job.
Also, the goal of someone to be like, "May God bless you."
Oh,
me
it gets
as
worse.
Having done something terrible, I'm just gonna throw my benedictions out on the crowd.
Yes.
I was like, take your fucking benediction and shove it up your ass.
It gets worse.
Oh God.
Good thing Ellen was already dead because he sure threw her under the bus. I hate when men do this. When they blame women for tempting them, I hate it so much. Making them objects like liquor and cards, and not thinking and feeling people that are subject to temptation themselves, and that they aren't to blame for their downfall. Ellen Smith wasn't a, quote, bad woman for believing the lies and false promises of love from someone she cared about. Her only crime was being gullible.
But it's also that thing of like, at that time, that we'll chase a woman. A man would chase a woman, wear her down. And then the second she finally gives in, it's like, then you're a whore.
Right.
And it's like, but you wouldn't leave me
pursuing
alone.
Yeah, buddy. You wanted me, buddy. Ugh. Hate it. I hate it.
Yeah.
And it's all up to the woman to defend herself from the advances of these men.
Yeah.
And it's their fault if they fail. Ugh. So
Eve.
flames.
Yep.
Eve was weak.
Eve, it's all your fault, Eve. I mean, oh my
Just
God.
like this poor girl that was trusting and loving and wanted to be loved. And for that, no one should shame her, I don't think.
No.
Anyway, the pious piece of shit goes on with his, quote, sermon. I think he even leads the audience in a hymn. He does, actually. Finally, he gives the Bible he was carrying to one of his two brothers that are there, shakes their hands, and the reporter at the scene noted, the rope was around the prisoner's neck when he ascended the scaffold. He raised his hat and bowed to the crowd. Arrogant prick. I'm sorry, that wasn't
Also,
in the...
this is not a performance.
Why are you bowing? That you killed a woman? Good job. He bowed to the crowd while the death warrant was read by the sheriff.
Okay.
Sheriff MacArthur sprung the trigger at 12:35, and in an instant the life of the condemned man went out. His neck was broken, and death was instantaneous. But,
lucky bastard, because it didn't always go that way for
but
everyone.
it said, but his heart's action continued for 7 minutes.
Okay.
So it makes me think, his heart's action continued for 7 minutes, so maybe he did suffer. Good.
Yeah. Yeah, because some of the hangings.
Oh, it does not
No.
go well
It's
or
brutal.
instantaneous. Yeah. He was the last person to be publicly hanged in Forsyth County.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. There's a New York Times article written about Peter DeGraff's horrible legacy and his family dealing with the shame of his deeds. And it is said that the mood amongst the crowd that day was giddy. Though some, quote, paused long enough to join him in singing, "Am I a soldier of the cross?" So that's the hymn that he led them in singing. DeGraff sang along with the rope around his neck.
See, and this is the arrogance of, because in that he's likening himself to, like, at a moment of death.
He's having a martyr
yeah
moment. I'm so
like,
good.
That's wild.
I know. Good riddance. That's what I wrote. Good riddance.
Yep.
I hate that he was given an audience and that he was so pious and even bowed as if he had done something to be applauded for when the warrant was read. Jesus. Not Jesus, actually. You're not Jesus.
But this is what's so messed up, is that you can do horrible shit all your life, and then if you on your deathbed go,
I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. Like, that's one of the things that I have a massive problem with. That it's like, because I believe the actions of your entire life matter, and how you treat people when you're alive matters. Anyway, that's my my little diatribe, religion corner.
Yes. So, not long after Ellen was killed, the songs came, like they often do. Like we have said before, murder ballads were the true crime podcasts of their day, and it was a way to pass on stories and news in a catchy format that people could remember and repeat. Some say that, like the Omi Wise ballad, it was the spreading of these ballads that enticed the law to pursue justice in a more hasty manner. These songs can also be used as cautionary tales. And this is probably my least favorite of the murder ballads usage, because most of the time it involves victim blaming. Young women remain chaste and virtuous, or God will punish you. Yuck. Sadly, such was the case of this ballad. The first one was plainly titled Ellen Smith, and it was written blaming Ellen for her own death.
Great.
Calling her a liar and suggesting that she slept with married men. Like Omi Wise, it was sung to the tune of the popular hymn, How Firm a Foundation, and we did that. That was sung. That was the tune we sang earlier. But much bouncier. So the lyrics could be passed around and easily sung to this well-known hymn. And the lyrics are infuriating. So the lyrics are like this. Poor Ellen Smith, where was she found? Shot through the heart, lying cold on the ground. Many hearts she has broken. Many lives she has stolen. It all now has ended in her bed in the snow. Poor Ellen, you've wasted your life. You could have made some man a very good wife.
Oh, yep.
Many friends tried to warn you of your ending. You was told. Now all is ended in your bed in the snow. The men, they will mourn you. The wives, they'll be glad. Such is the ending of a girl that is bad.
Oh, God.
And then the final couplet.
Oh, God.
Perhaps you're in heaven. God only knows. The Bible plainly tells that you've gone down below.
What?
Oh! I'm like, get ready to do your Mrs. White from Clue.
Oh, yeah. Flames
on the side of my face. The very nerve.
Also, she was found in July, so there would have been snow on the ground. So
mad. Well,
I mean,
snow rhymes with below. So.
True. Well, there you go. I mean, that's the least of the things we should be
just the
misogyny.
Misogyny. I love that the men will mourn you, but the women will be glad you're dead.
But also,
the wives will be glad.
Again, serves you right. You shouldn't have done that.
Shouldn't have had sex.
Okay, but if you're a person of faith, doesn't one of the commandments say, "Thou shalt not kill"?
Right, that's the big one. I would think that's the big one.
So that's got to be.
And who wrote this? Because Ellen she wasn't an adulterer.
No,
she didn't have sex with married men. What's this about? Doth he, the writer, protest too much, methinks? Something happened with this writer where he was like, women are bad because they sleep with married men. Yeah, that was more about, I think, what was going on with the writer's life.
Yes.
Just things that aren't even true.
Yeah.
She's a liar. She's ruined so many lives.
Yeah, that person clearly has an agenda.
I was just appalled.
Yep.
So this was one version of the murder ballad, the scaring and shaming young women into chastity and obedience. And the other one, the one that we sang, was the more popular and is still told, but it's still told from Peter de Graaf's point of view.
Yeah, that's the thing I found really interesting with it. Is like, yeah, it's from his point of view.
Mm-hmm. And the lyrics of that version change and evolve over time, as well as the meter and the feel of the song to be a bouncy bluegrass standard that is heavy on the banjo and has a severe disconnect with the mood to the lyrics, as we said before. Mm. It's still pretty misogynistic, but at least they have pity on her and they don't blame her for her own murder. In many versions of the song, the narrator doesn't fully own up to his crime, but hints at it saying, quote, "I'll never escape from the sins of my past," end quote. Mm-hmm. Doesn't say he killed her, but he was like, "I'll never escape from the sins of my past," whatever they are. Mm-hmm. And others, after skipping town, the narrator fully denies that he had any wrongdoing, exclaiming, "I've been here 12 months, and I pray all the time that the man may be found that committed this crime." It's you.
It's me.
Yes. As in this happened in the first ever recorded version in 1924 by Henry Witter, and it's a doozy. Mm-hmm. It's a doozy. I've included the link to this YouTube video of that recording because it couldn't be found on Spotify. Mm-hmm. That being said, I've included a Spotify playlist in the show notes of all the several versions I've found that span many years and styles, one even being a German metal version.
Oh.
Called Ellen Schmidt.
Amazing. I can't wait to hear that.
So be sure to check that out.
Yep. I can't wait for that.
In that New York Times article I found, Peter de Graaf's ancestor Randy Furchess has written a new version of the ballad, and singout.org also included a MySpace link to the song. Oh. But the link was old or bad. Surprise. Shock, shock. Mm-hmm. And nothing came up. I also tried to find him on Instagram, but no luck. So, Randy, if you're out there, email us at cormacandgwen@gmail.com if you want to pass us your song to people. If you want to, he's written his own version.
Wow.
And although I haven't heard your version, I'm sure your distant relation to old Sneaky Pete doesn't make you nefarious yourself. I'm sure you're tired of carrying that around, so there you go. Speaking of new versions, I took some poetic license with rewriting Ellen's story. So
I love it when you do that.
Please know that this is historical or hysterical fiction. I'm a horrible writer.
Never let it be said.
I'm not passing this song off as true at all. But given what little we know about Ellen, I rewrote the story to where she's not the one who dies. And
yeah,
let's hear it.
Yep.
Now. Now gather round and listen, y'all, to my unjust tale of this ever-loving woman and how I did prevail against a man so evil he would cause me pain and strife. But he promised first he'd marry me and I'd become his wife. They say hell had no fury like a woman scorned. Well, fuck, I've been through hell and back, so buddy, you've been warned. Don't sleep, don't blink, don't bat an eye, 'cause I'll be standing by and by. Just when you think you're safe and sound, you'll be twitching on the cold, cold ground. Got the message that you wrote me at our usual spot, where you made all those promises that you quickly forgot. Well, hun, I came here to remind you. Say, what's that you got behind you? Anyway, it's good to see you, dear. Now won't you have a seat right here? Well, I hope you like the goodies and the sweet treats that I brought. It's a special moment after all. At first that's what I thought, but I knew your wicked mind was evil from the very start. That's why I figured that you'd try to shoot me in the heart. Just as I thought, it happened as you knelt down
town to propose. And instead of a wedding ring, a pistol soon arose. Lucky the poison stopped you quicker than your crooked finger could pull that trigger. I said I was a dead good cook, you saw my smile was your last look. They say hell had no fury like a woman scorned. Well, fuck, I've been through hell and back, so buddy, you've been warned. Don't sleep, don't blink, don't bat an eye, 'cause I'll be standing by and by. Just when you think you're safe and sound, you're twitching on the cold, cold ground. Now, I read ugly stories in the books of history. And I know all about how big old liars men can be.
You said it.
They blame bad women for their behavior, then they call upon their blessed Savior. Oh, help me, please.
Jesus, save me.
But no God can hear your cry. You tricked me, now you're doomed to die. They say hell had no fury like a woman scorned. Well, fuck, I've been through hell and back, so buddy, you've been warned. Don't sleep, don't blink, don't bat an eye, 'cause I'll be standing by and by. Just when you think you're safe and sound, you can twitch it on the cold, cold ground.
Amazing. Allison was on the auto hop.
Yeah.
She and I were doing some vocals.
Yeah. That was, they said she was the cook at Kenny Rose's, so I thought maybe she would make him some treats for their picnic rendezvous and poison him because she knew what was coming.
Oh, yeah. I love that.
There's also rumor that he would like publicly shame her and tell her to get away from him.
There was that bit that you were saying earlier about how they would fight in the street. People would talk about
and she would follow him around and he'd be like, "Leave me alone." And I'm like, that's horrible.
That's heartbreaking.
Especially if you've given birth to his child. And
listen,
that's awful. Just what a piece of shit.
Yep.
Anyway, so I wrote that in order for her to have her own bit of her own back.
Yeah, get her own back. That's right.
Get her own back.
Yep.
That's what we did.
Well, fantastic.
Not to sully the memory of Ellen Smith, who did nothing wrong. She murdered nobody. She did nothing wrong. I just have to say that. That one version of the song and the description of Peter's final speech just made me so mad that I lashed out through song.
That's the healthiest way to do it, one would argue.
Yes. Okay, I'm better now. Thank you for letting me work that out with you.
Oh, it's an honor and a pleasure. Fantastic job.
That is the story of our dear Ellen Smith.
Well, I just want to give her a big hug.
Yeah.
There's so many of them that I just am like, oh, I just want to give you a hug.
Yeah. And you can't fix him. Stop trying to fix bad men.
But also, like,
look at me turning around going, bad men. It's bad men and liquor and dice.
But it also is that thing of someone who wants to be with you will stand up for you and show, and they will prove to you that they want to be around and be there.
Yeah.
And I know from my own personal experience the amount of bullshit that I put up with because it was close enough, near enough was better than nothing.
Yep.
But there are a lot of people that will use their trauma and their dysfunction as a weapon and as a tool of manipulation. And we as nurturers, and I'm not saying just women, but people who have a nurturing, deeply, highly sensitive person, I am, side, are going to see someone in distress. You're like, I can help them, I can improve them, I can do all these things. And it's like, if they haven't done it by this point, they're never going to do it.
And if they're hurting you, don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't take the bullet. Literally.
Ugh.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Don't
take the bullet for them.
No, but seriously.
Ellen, and not to victim blame because Ellen did nothing wrong. And it's just so sad that she got taken advantage of by someone that she loved.
Also, you knew you had a drinking problem. You admitted it on the fucking gallows that you knew you had a drinking problem.
See, a lot of these people get religion later. what's his name? The cannibal. Like Jeffrey
Oh,
Dahmer.
Jeffrey Dahmer. Yeah.
I'm okay now. I love Jesus. No, that's not okay.
Yeah.
It's not okay.
Because again, it gives you an out to excuse your horrific behavior.
Oh, I know. Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
Well, at least there was no river involved.
There
in
was
this
no
one.
drowning involved.
So
it was just a forest.
We can have a little walk by the river during.
There is
the
a
death
hotel.
time. There is a hotel.
A sneaky hotel that burned down later.
Did they? And it's slightly off topic. Did they know why it burned down?
I don't. I'm sure. It just said it burnt down. It was like built early in the year and then burnt down in November.
Oh, there we go.
Jeez,
That's not even a year.
That's sad.
Wow.
But back then,
Things caught on fire
all the time.
All the time.
All the time. Like, I wonder how Christmas people didn't die all the time with the candles on their trees.
Was it Mrs. O'Leary's cow is blamed for this Chicago? Is it San Francisco or Chicago? I think it's
something like that. Yeah.
The Great Fire of Chicago. I think it was. And it's someone, a cow knocked over something into a
damn cow.
Yeah.
And they have those big dresses and just.
Yeah.
You just walk over to nearby something and oil lamps and
yeah
it's a nightmare.
Oh dear.
And then you have to worry about being shot.
Yes. So this may end up getting cut. We may not use this, but I just will record it anyway. So this is the end of our little first trial series.
Yay.
So you've got 6 episodes to listen to and let us know what you think about. I am off to give birth in a few weeks.
She's about to create life, so we'll let her do that.
Yes, but we will be back, or we will be releasing these every second week, so there may be enough that there is a continuity. Who's to say?
Who's to say?
But it will be my turn next to tell a story.
After she becomes a mother.
Yes.
She is a mother already, but after the baby's on the outside.
So we shall see. But please let us know your feedback.
Yeah.
We're still working out how to work these microphones in this town. No, Allison is doing such a fantastic job editing and setting up the recording and doing all of that. So I'm very grateful for you, friend.
Free podcast and all.
Yeah. To quote Will Anderson, an Australian comedian who I adore, it's a free podcast. If you don't like it, that's fine. You're getting it for free. So
yeah.
But if you would like to get in touch with us, you can email us at cormacandgwen@gmail.com, as Allison's very kindly mentioned earlier. The photos we'll put up on our Instagram at Cormac and Gwen. And you can also find us on YouTube. Check out our YouTube channel
Cormac
that has all. Yes, just search Cormac and Gwen.
Yeah.
And then all the things.
On Instagrams.
On the Instagrams. Come and follow us. Also, rate, review, subscribe on the iTunes app or anywhere you listen.
Yeah. If you have any tips and tricks about microphones, let us know.
Please let us know. But so thank you for coming along on this journey with us.
Oh, we did it, friend.
Yeah, we did it.
I'm proud of us.
I have to say, this was also Allison's idea initially, and I was just so excited because I'm such a big fan of a podcast.
Yeah.
And it's also just given me something to occupy my brain and
Before
my time.
Occupied by nothing but baby.
But yeah. So we've had a lot of fun doing it, and we hope you've had as much fun listening to it.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Yes. So in the meantime, take care of yourselves, friends.
Yeah. You can go down by the river just this once.
Yeah. Wear a life preserver.
Yep.
But most of all, don't find yourself in some dark holler.
Bye-bye.
Bye.